Okay, so I'm not exactly going to be reviewing Breath of the Wild today, because 1, everyone and their mother has reviewed this game at this point. I mean, it came out in March, and 2, I thought I'd throw out something really quick and simple this month, as I've got a tiny little announcement for the channel coming soon. It's nothing to get excited about, but hey, let's just do this anyway for funsies. Also, spoilers, I guess? Like, I mean, the game's been out for a while, but people are sensitive to, like, views and enemies and shit. There's nothing plot-wise going on here, but watch at your own risk, I guess. I finally have it. It's mine, a Nintendo Switch, and it only cost me 2 human souls on the black market. So now that it's finally in my hands, I suppose it's time to talk about the magnum opus of the Switch library, the big budget must-have of the system's available games. Hang on, there's something on my screen. There we are, much better. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, as of writing, is the only Zelda game I like right now, and before I'm carried on to the firing range, let me just provide some context. I've known the Zelda series from reputation more or less my whole life, but my family weren't exactly Nintendo people. Like, we had a GameCube with Melee and Double Dash and a Wii, that's about it. It actually wasn't until 2011 that I played my first Zelda, Ocarina of Time 3D, and let's just say this kickstarted a saga of desperately wanting to like this series. Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Phantom Hourglass, Wind Waker, all fabulous games, I'm sure, but are they my cup of tea? Not really. All of these I played for at least 3 to 10 hours each and stopped out of a lack of interest. They just came across as a bit boring to me, be it from being too slow or just finding them very shallow in the gameplay department. I'll primarily blame this on my lack of patience, and if you know the games I like, you know I require a visit to Dipshit Land every fortnight. And there is a reason this series has a following, but said reasons I don't believe are what I see in a game. So I had long since given up on trying to get invested in the series. Then Breath of the Wild comes around and it's so decent. Like, it's not a game I call particularly mind-blowing, and it has its own fair share of issues that are a whole nother can of worms, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that the 30 plus hours I spent beating this game are an absolute joy. It's good, it's fun, it's decent, it's Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it all starts in a lush, grassy plateau. Now, I'm willing to admit that in my first couple of hours, I despised the Great Plateau. I hated how squishy I was, I hated having a stamina bar, I'm not a huge fan of breakable weapons, and the presence of slow climbing and deadly heights gave me the idea that exploring the world was gonna become a huge pain in the arse in the near future. Climbing became even more of a pain in the arse when I remembered the game had map towers, and I thought to myself, what makes the game think I want to do this every single time? This is tedious, this is the epitome of open world busywork with very little payoff. But when I activated my first tower and the old man told me about the hang glider he was holding onto, it hit me. Oh. I'd quite like that hang glider, sir. I'm not usually one to excuse game design that's done poorly on purpose, or is made to inconvenience and frustrate the player on purpose. Like, it can be difficult to justify. You can stab someone to prove how fragile the human abdomen is, but you're still stabbing someone, you know? But all of this inconvenience in Breath of the Wild is not just for challenge, it's for incentive. Breath of the Wild's incentive capitalizes on you absolutely hating its guts beforehand, and bargains with you by using the promise of fun as a carrot. Oh, what's that? You think this hang glider will make this game that you paid for fun? Well, that's true. I mean, climbing down slowly doesn't sound like fun, and jumping off will kill you, but how about you do some shrines for me real quick? The Great Plateau uses a reward cycle where it frustrates you with a large amount of negligible but still tedious limitations, such as cliffs, mountains, and fall damage, offers a solution to alleviate said limitations, in this case the hang glider, and then makes you perform tasks without the solution, in this case the shrines around the plateau. A cycle that isn't too taxing, but just requires a bit of patience and resourcefulness to clear, and illustrates how much you need that goddamn glider right about now. And it's done at the most perfect point in the game. The tutorial. This isn't grindy long-term bullshit like, oh, you get an upgrade 3/4 into the game, or oh, you just unlocked one of literally a million ways to explore an open world. The hang glider is rubbed into your face within the first handful of minutes, and it's imperative to the rest of the game. It meant that whenever I hit a frustration or shortcoming later into the game, I couldn't help but think to myself, hey, at least I'm past the Great Plateau, because the game showed me its points of frustration and gave me tools to surpass those, without feeling like crutches or the game going soft on me. Okay, Joe, we get it, you want to marry hang glider, senpai. but what does this mean for the rest of the game? Well, it's simple. The glider works in conjunction with the rest of the game, so it feels far from situational, and I used it at any opportunity I had. Interpret this as hyperbole if you must, but climbing and the hang glider are vital parts of what made Breath of the Wild fun for me, and I would have not enjoyed the game by any means without them. I'm not much of an open world person, and despite that, I am a huge fan of the map towers not giving you any markers or chevrons. As opposed to the sensory overload of areas to get sidetracked at the press of a button, the towers in Breath of the Wild are what they are. They're towers. They give you a section of map, sure, but they act as vantage points for you to pinpoint everything by yourself. And once everything's marked, you can just pull out the glider and make your way to the nearest shrines. I was even doing a process for multiple groups of shrines where I would fast travel up the same tower repeatedly to glide to different locations, and this incentivized me to unlock every single tower in the game, something I wouldn't have done in, say, Far Cry. And using the towers in this manner extended to how I explored the rest of the map. Give me an open world game full of mountains and I'll probably be like, ugh, fucking mountains, cough cough Skyrim. Like, they're not much other than just really high sections of map and not much else. But knowing that Breath of the Wild wanted me to use vantage points, a mechanical purpose for the mountains, it made me look at any high point in the map and go, you see that mountain? I am going to climb that fucking mountain. It was at this point I was so fixated on getting as many landmarks out the way that I wasn't engaging in combat much and kind of forgot to do the main objectives. But I'm sure the princess can wait a few moments. Holy shit, is that a somewhat elevated hill? Let me reiterate, the climbing in Breath of the Wild, complete and utter garbage. Just walk into a cliff, and once you've done the laundry, fed the dog, stared at pictures of Junpei Iori and full comboed freedom dive one-handed, Link will have climbed up a 5-foot rise. But I don't care. The fact that I can climb in the first place and that it's beneficial to the gameplay loop is enough to excuse it. Like, everyone was telling me to stock up on heart containers, but fuck that. I want to buff my stamina so I can get better at climbing and hang gliding. These are what my stats look like at the end of the game. I didn't even have the Master Sword when I fought Ganon, I'm that shit. Like, fun fact for anyone who cares, it took me 15 to 20 retries over the course of 2 days to beat Ganon, with an armor rank of 13 and 2 rank 50 swords. Oops. But I have gotten ridiculously sidetracked. What does this all mean for Breath of the Wild, and what about it should be carried into future games? Simply this. It's fun to move around in Breath of the Wild. For me, the best kinds of open worlds feel like expansive toy boxes that are just fun to move in. Horses? No, I never really used a horse until the final boss, really. Cars? Absolutely fucking not. Being able to climb and glide from nearly any point in the map? Yes. Give it to me. In my face. Now, this is why I liked Infamous. Do this more. Like I said, Breath of the Wild is far from a perfect game. Like, the main questline is easily the weakest element of the game, and some great ideas like the slate runes go a bit underused, so you only end up using like 2 your entire playthrough. But the game showed me one thing, which is that Nintendo can make a hiking simulator and somehow still make it fun and rewarding. So like, put more hang gliders into your games, because hang gliders are pretty awesome. Did I mention I'm terrible at ending videos?
Okay, so I've beaten you about 30 hours. I think I've got my money's worth. So, what are you doing tonight?